Welcome to Columbus News Channel. New attacks have been launched in critical areas on the eastern and southern fronts. Large-scale operations carried out on the fronts yield results. Ukrainian army defeated the Russian soldiers in critical areas and caused them serious losses. During the day, 15 Russian armored combat vehicles and more than 610 Russian soldiers were neutralized. With precise moves, 5 Russian command points were hit and seriously damaged. Ukrainian armed forces began operations in key areas. Russian forces launched attacks on the capital and its environs, but by finding the Ukrainian air defense against it, it still failed to reach its goal. Ukrainian army started exercises in the capital. Operational power of the Russian army is weakened. Explosions occurred one after another at Russian military points on the fronts. Russian military equipment caught fire. Russia may suffer big losses again in Kiev. In critical areas, the war is getting more and more intense. Especially on the eastern and southern fronts, it is seen that the attacks become more challenging day by day. For this reason, operations are increasing day by day. Ukrainian armed forces have been carrying out record attacks in recent days, especially in Donetsk. This time, new attacks have been reported in the Marinka region. An unmanned aerial vehicle recording the attacks in the region also witnessed the explosions. According to the statements, the Ukrainian army attacked Russian military points in this region using powerful ammunition. As a result of these attacks, many Russian military positions were seriously damaged. It has been reported that the rockets, which were stated to be launched towards military points in the region, caused successive explosions in these positions. It was announced that these attacks carried out several dozen ammunition, and flames rose from the Russian military points. As a result of the attacks, a fire broke out and it was claimed that many Russian military equipment was seriously damaged. It was also announced that these moves were made for the L0SING, Bakhmut and Kherson regions. While the war is getting more difficult for both sides day by day, it is seen that the intensity of the operations has started to increase mostly in the Donbas and southern fronts. As it is known, around 190 Russian soldiers were neutralized in this Bakhmut region even during the day. Then, many Ukrainian soldiers and equipment were sent to the region, and the escalation of conflicts began to push the Russian army even more. Still, the operations on this front are increasing day by day and many Russian military points continue to be destroyed. This weakens Russia's offensive power considerably. At the same time, new attacks have been reported in Kherson. To remind you, the Ukrainian army launched an operation in this region, and as a result of its success, Russia decided to withdraw from the region. Ukrainian troops, on the other hand, increased the areas they were deployed to, and took a place on the Crimean border, and the tension in Moscow began to increase. In fact, with the increase in the moves towards the Crimea, Russia tried to carry out attacks against the Kherson region again. However, these attacks did not achieve any success due to the fact that they targeted infrastructures. On the contrary, many attacks were prevented and many Russian missiles were destroyed thanks to the defense systems that came to the country's territory every day. Moreover, this time, it has been reported that the Ukrainian army has launched new operations against the Russian soldiers and military points remaining on this front. According to the statements, Ukrainian troops attacked Russian military points on this front with powerful ammunition. Subsequently, many Russian military points and equipment were seriously damaged. It is known that Russia has lost quite a lot in this region. Moreover, there is very little space to be deployed. Many soldiers even had to retreat and advance eastward. However, despite all this, the resumption of attacks against this region also shows that Moscow is afraid of losing Crimea. He also has reasons to be afraid. In the past days, an explosion occurred at military points in the territory of Crimea. Moreover, it was stated that Russian logistics points were targeted. An important bridge in Crimea was attacked before. These attacks are aimed at disrupting the flow of Russian military shipments to Crimea and the southern front. Ukrainian armed forces are also increasing their hit attacks in many regions. Ukrainian Air Force, which makes accurate moves with each passing day, this time launched 2 strong attacks on important points where Russian troops are concentrated. As a result of these attacks, it was reported that many Russian soldiers were neutralized. Ukrainian rocket and artillery units hit a point where Russian soldiers are concentrated and 5 Russian command points. Due to these command points, many experienced soldiers are reduced and communication with the soldiers on the fronts is interrupted. Moreover, the losses of Russia, which has very few experienced soldiers, are getting more and more serious with each passing day. Since the beginning of the war, Russia has lost around 102,500 soldiers. Moreover, with the increase of these losses, it is almost impossible for them to be compensated. In this war started by Russia, both countries are suffering losses every day. However, while Ukraine compensates for these losses with support from other countries, Russia cannot provide it because it has very few supporters. Chief of Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces again announced the losses of Russian troops. Russian soldiers lost more than 15 armored combat vehicles, 3 artillery systems, 4 tanks, 7 vehicles and tankers on Ukrainian territory during the day. As a result of the destruction of these military equipment, the attack power of Russian soldiers in ground operations is also reduced. This gives Ukraine a significant advantage. It was also reported that more than 600 Russian soldiers were neutralized. Loss of military resources, which is increasing day by day, has now reached a very important size for Russia. Explosions took place in Ukraine's Kiev Oblast. 2 powerful eruptions were reported on the left bank of the Kiev Oblast. It was also stated that these explosions did not cause a devastating result. However, it was later revealed that these explosions were not missiles. Although 2 explosions were heard, neither damage nor smoke was seen. Later, it was understood that these explosions took place, but it was reported that they were planned. It was announced that Ukrainian forces held exercises. In a statement, the Joint Command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that there are legends that Russian troops are trying to land a tactical force and take control of a very important state facility. It was announced that units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and units of the Ukrainian National Guard opened fire and destroyed the transport helicopter in the air. Ukraine's defenders staged an artillery maneuver on a floating points (2) carrier, advancing through a water barrier and ferry bridge crossings. In addition, according to the statements made, it was announced that the joint forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine will continue to work to improve their practical skills. Although these studies are said to be in preparation for repelling the attacks of Russian troops, these studies may also indicate that an attack on Kiev is expected. Results of the previous attacks of the Russian Federation on Kiev were rather unsuccessful. Russia attempted to attack this region in the early part of the war, and it attacked several times in the later months of the war. However, he lost many experienced soldiers in these regions and had to retreat. After this situation, Russia had to make a decision to mobilize. Mobilization decision did not yield a successful result for Russia. Because the military forces that came with the mobilization were untrained and were sent with a quick decision. With the attacks of the Ukrainian forces on the Russian headquarters, the rank and experience of the Russian forces decreased significantly. As a result, Russia's military forces have become a more inexperienced and untrained army. Russia has not been successful on land for these reasons lately. When Russia failed on land, it increased its air strikes. Russian Federation stock of missiles is about to run out, as Russia has greatly increased its air strikes and launched large-scale missile strikes. Since such developments are of critical importance for the course of the war, they become a decisive factor for countries. Much more attention should be paid to the steps to be taken and the decisions to be made. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.